Every one of us, as we try to engage with the world in front of us, are going to bump into people that have that strong narcissistic bent. Those are the people that want to be in control. They're very self-absorbed. They don't really care what you think or feel. They're manipulators. They have a sense of entitlement, and they're just impossible to reason with because there's only one person in the room that matters, and wouldn't you know, it's not you, it's themselves. And so you can ask the question, what is it that's going on inside of them that I need to be aware of so that I can engage with them in the healthiest way possible? I want to focus on two primary traits that will help you understand the mind of a narcissist and how they think toward you, so that at least as you're able to see these two, then you're going to be able to respond in hopefully a healthy kind of fashion. Those two traits or characteristics are the characteristic of exaggerated self-importance and then disdain for those who differ. Exaggerated self-importance, disdain toward those who differ. Now, let me back up and say, when I interact with people, I have certain beginning points that I operate with. And one of my primary beginning points with people is no one is ideal. No one has all the corner of the market on all of knowledge or all of wonderful experiences. We each have pluses, but we also each have minuses. And as we engage with one another, it's okay. It's not just okay. It's necessary for us to recognize that and live into that. We're all a mixed bag, and that's just part of what we bring. In addition, we were born with different circumstances and influences, whether it's our familial style of doing things or our subcultures that we're in, or just different educational patterns that we've learned. I can promise you someone who was born and raised in Yemen is going to think differently from someone who was born and raised in Minnesota, and that person's going to be a bit different from the person that was born and raised in Eastern Mongolia. It's part of the fabric of our humanity. We've learned how to maneuver through life differently. And so we bring that with our into the equation when we interact with each other. Let's make room for that. Somewhere along the line, narcissists decided, I don't want to have to make room for humanity, your humanity or mine. I'll make plenty of room for the stuff that's wrong about you, but I have to be better. Somewhere in the equation, they learned that if they open up and talk about the pluses and minuses that are apart, and they have to look at the fact that some people think differently and that's not necessarily correct or incorrect, somehow or another they learn that's not going to get me anywhere good. And so they build this false self that goes with those two thoughts. I'm the more important person than you, and you're beneath me, and I hold you in contempt if you show yourself to be too different. They've got to be special. And they feel as if they don't really need input from anyone else. They have what we refer to as a superiority bias. They're constantly watching you to determine what you think or do that's less than what they are, and they're not bashful about thinking or living into the fact that they are better than you, and they're going to make you know that. In essence, they operate with the notion that says you should aspire to be as wonderful as me. They can't be part of the sea of humanity. They feel no need to receive input or to learn from anyone because they've got to be the better person in the equation. Now, there are a couple of repercussions that come from this. One of the things that we've learned with these kind of individuals is when they think about the subject of the freedom to be what we are, their attitude about freedom is, it's good for me to be free. In other words, I get to choose who I'm going to be. It's not good for you to be free. In other words, I don't want you choosing what you're going to be, because if you do, you're going to be wrong. And so they have an overestimation of their own freedom to be themselves to the extent that they won't acknowledge yours. And you can see there's a gross illogic in the way that they think. And then in addition, one of the things we know with people who have this over sense of self-importance and a disdain toward other individuals, they tend to think of their problems as worse than your problems. If they're hurting, it's like, well, my hurt's worse than your hurt, and you're probably the one that caused it. If you're hurting, it's like, well, you deserved it and you brought it on yourself. And so they tend to operate with the notion that says, we need to deal with what bothers me. I don't care what bothers you. And they don't even see that that actually sets them up to be a victim of anything and everything. Look what you're doing to make my life miserable. And as a result, they can be very difficult to engage with. Now, there are all sorts of signs that you can watch for that show that they have these two characteristics deeply intact. An exaggerated self-importance and a disdain towards people that differ from them. One, you'll notice that these people over time reveal the thought that says, I really can't stand to be in your presence. If you conform to me, then we're okay. But the minute you show yourself to be a little bit different, it's like, oh, you just bring a stench to my life. That's how they think. In addition, they can have a great deal of envy toward people who have good things happening to them. Now they may think, well, what is good for you should have happened to me. And so they don't like for you to be elevated. And in addition, it's like, who are you anyway? If good fortune came your way, you probably got it illegitimately. Now me, I should have that. And they can't appreciate you. So that's another indicator that shows that they're operating with those two ingredients. In addition, they're constantly assigning you a role in their social hierarchy. They're always in comparative mode. Now, there might be some people that they hold a little bit higher than others, but nobody's opinions or ideas or experiences are quite as good or enlightened as them. And so there's constantly this one-upmanship kind of thinking that they have. I was better than this, and you don't know what you're talking about. They operate with that kind of thinking. In addition, as long as they have this exaggerated self-importance and a disdain for you, they refuse to receive input from you because you are that lesser person. You don't have the right to tell me how I could feel or think or interpret differently. Who do you think you are? You're a nobody. And as a result, they then feel justified in criticizing you. And they don't want to acknowledge that your thoughts and feelings are okay. If you're different, then you're wrong. And therefore, they'll punish you. They'll scorn you. They may stigmatize you. They feel like you're supposed to submit. And it's so fascinating when you look at people that have that strong narcissistic controlling bent. These two characteristics keep popping up over and over. I'm very important. You're beneath me. I hold you in disdain. It's rather sad, isn't it? And the real sad thing is, if you try to call them out and get them to see the light, not only will they not hear what you have to say, they'll just double down on it. I mean, for example, if you say, I really am offended by the fact that you think so poorly of me, and I'm getting kind of tired of some of your condescending attitudes, they'll come at you with all sorts of criticisms or sabotaging, or they'll ghost you, or they'll run a smear campaign. As far as they're concerned, you're not legitimate. So let's understand a few things here. Three things in particular. First, let's recognize these are supremely insecure people. They build their lives upon fear, rather than thinking, well, I am part of humanity. And I do have my pluses and minuses. It's like, oh, that scares the living daylights out of me. You might ask, how hard is it just to say, I'm a regular person like everyone else? And to the narcissist, the answer is, it's really hard. I can't say that. I can't think that. I can't let myself be a regular person just like you and all those other slobs I have to deal with. In addition, in their false superiority, they're simply not going to hold your thoughts and feelings in high regard. Take that under account and don't be shocked when they come at you with that kind of an attitude. Then a third thought is, knowing that that's the way they think, you can't really afford to feed off of their attitudes and let them define you as for who you are. Make sure that you have your own separate boundaries. That you're going to live into what you believe your priorities and your good thinking is going to guide you towards. And when they come at you with that exaggerated self-importance, that disdain toward you, it's like, yeah, I understand. That's part of the package. That's what you bring, and that's part of your fear. I get it. I see it. I'm not buying into it. You know, the sad thing is, whenever you have people in front of you who think the way that I'm describing, one of the things that mistakes that you can make is you can allow them to establish your pace. And you can let them get under your skin so much that you begin to respond in kind. They put you down, you put them down. They're going to be argumentative, you become argumentative. When I talk about having boundaries, what I'm talking about is I'm hoping that you and I can have a definition of what goodness and decency is. And again, it goes back to that recognition. We're all part of this broad thing called humanity. And when the narcissist is too immature to accept that truth, it's like, I don't have a whole lot of a foundation to build on here. Therefore, I'm not going to build on that sandy kind of ground. I'm going to be my own healthy person. If you don't want to join me on Team Healthy, that's your prerogative. I need to live a life according to what I know is wisest and best. I'm not self-important, and I don't feel the need to hold anyone in disdain. And if that's the way you choose to do life, then we don't have a whole lot in common, do we? Sad to say that, but sometimes you just have to draw your line and say, it is what it is. I'm moving forward. I'm staying here on Team Healthy. Now, I do hope that you get good insight and thoughtfulness that comes from videos such as this. If you've not already done so, I would encourage you to hit that subscribe button. We also have an email list. I would encourage you to sign up for that so that we can keep things coming in your direction. If you have a need for counseling, and if there's someone in your local area that you could see, then I would encourage you to do that. Obviously, this is what I do for a living, and I encourage people to seek out people that can help. If you don't have someone in your immediate area, we've vetted a group that can help you with online counseling. There's a link below there, and this is a trusted group that sponsors us. And so if that's something you would be able to make good use of, I would encourage you to avail yourself to that. In addition, we have my Free to Be workshop. It's more than just a workshop. It's a full-blown, very large course, 6 different modules with 38 different lessons inside, 7 minutes per lesson with a lot of written stuff and a lot of insightful questions that I'm asking you to reflect on. So I would hope that if you would be able to use that, then that would be something you would avail yourself to. In addition, we have links to our books and other kinds of resources down below, and our website, survivingnarcissism.tv. drlescarter.com. Exaggerated self-importance, disdain toward those who differ, that's not a good way to live. Let's understand that there's a core equality that's there, and if somebody else doesn't want to live into that, it's still true. Be the kind of person that says, I get what humanity is about. I'm going to be one of those that lives with a sense of decency and respect and honor towards those that I engage with, and in doing so, I'm hoping it will take you to a place of consistent peace.